It's Off Exit 10, presented by Capital District Sport and Fitness.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any butchering on that.
Right.
Not at all. No, but I'm happy to have both of you on. I mean, Andy, you knew about this podcast real early on because we reached out and we needed a logo for it.
Yeah, for sure. It was a blast, like, just making that. It was, I know, so we're pretty close to Exit 10, so it's definitely like a little hometown callback to us, so it's fun.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, most definitely. And then we first got connected last year when we partnered with Novice, and then we linked up in August last summer.
Yep.
To do just like a little promo, and that's when we first met you. So, everybody, we have Andy Persons and Tyme Persons, newly Tyme Persons tonight. So, yeah, congratulations on the wedding.
Thank you.
First
Yeah.
off,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
last week, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
right?
like
2
2.5 weeks ago
yeah, 2
now.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think we're 10 days away from being a month, which is insane.
But
yeah.
Well,
you said
that's
the
longer than
18th,
2 weeks
right?
then.
Yeah.
That would be 10 days from now.
Yeah.
How much fun was the day, though? You're like living on a high around that day, I feel like.
Yeah, it was good. It was, I mean, it's wedding stress in itself, but we kind of made it a goal for ourselves that if we went into that day with any stress, it wasn't worth it to us.
Yep.
Like, we wanted to keep our priorities straight between us, make it our day, make sure we're enjoying it. And we had actually like set a day,
Yeah.
April 9th. And it was kind of like one of those days we kind of threw it out there. It was pretty close to where we were. Like, we could throw it together in a few months. And then just like as that day kind of started rolling, just life wasn't lining up there. And we're like, you know what? This just, we're not going to enjoy it if we do it right now. So we literally just like, we had the invitations printed. We're like, you know, cut this back.
Yep.
And then we just.
Well, you know what?
set
We
a
had to
day.
use those invitations for, probably know what April 9th is.
April 9th. I know what April 9th is.
That's my birthday.
It
so
is.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, sent those invitations out for Mike's birthday celebration.
It'll be just a big birthday party.
Yeah.
But going through the wedding stuff, like you guys are big, you know, like audio and visual people, like
Yeah.
with Sunchaser, which we'll talk more about. Did you do all the planning and the setup?
Yeah. So we had like an idea of what we wanted to do. And I originally wanted this giant backdrop of our like colors and everything. And I was like, we're building it. This is what we're doing. So we built a lot of the stage setup and all of that. And we were pretty much the ones that did everything for all of it.
That's amazing because that's the stress.
Yeah.
Like when we had ours, Paul, I was like, wedding planner, and like I'll show up and tell me where to walk and where to stand.
Yeah.
So,
Inside these walls, Mike's got complete control. Outside these walls, he goes, you tell me what to do.
yeah,
It was fun though because we were able to really tie it a lot into what we're building with our brand and really make it something special to us. So we were actually like at our reception had our bus pulled up right there and all of that. So
That's
that was
awesome.
It was pretty cool for everyone
That's
to come
sick.
see.
That's really cool. Yeah, so getting into like building your brand. So we first met with Novice. How long have you been doing stuff with those guys, Andy?
For a very long time. I guess my career starts back really coming like out of high school, beginning of high school. I knew I wanted to do something creative. I've always loved filmmaking, and I kind of just threw myself out into the creative world saying like, this is the stuff that I can do. And it wasn't even just filmmaking at the time. It was a wide variety of things. Filmmaking is one of the ones that took off. Originally, I started more in the music industry. There was one musician, my favorite musician ever, Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. He's the singer for Jack's Mannequin and Something Corporate, or one of his two of his past bands. And when I kind of first started my brand, Any Persons, I set some goals for myself. Like, all right, where can I achieve that will make me feel like, all right, I've accomplished something? Because coming out of high school, trying to start something of my own, there needs to be some sort of validation there because otherwise I'm just hurling around having no clue what I'm doing. So I set myself some goals, and one of these goals was to create or do anything for this musician, Andrew McMahon. Like that's what I wanted to do.
Did he know who you were? You're like, no, I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
out
no,
and
he was
do
just my favorite musician, and no connections at all. So
He's like, I'm going for it.
exactly. So one day I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, I'm gonna be like 30 years old, and I'm gonna finally be able to create something for Andrew McMahon. Like that was in my mind. 4 months after me creating my Andy Persons brand, I got an email from his manager saying, hey, we want you to make the music video for the new song. Mind-blowing experience, right? So, I ended up going on tour with him. Still to this day, we're great buddies now. And just an awesome experience. The music video comes out in August of 2018, I think it was. And, you know, for that, like 2 weeks after the music video, I felt like I was on top of the world, right? Like, I'm famous. My name's getting thrown around all the place. I'm getting a bunch of followers from it. Like, it was awesome. That 2 weeks goes by, and it's just a music video. No one gives a crap. Who am I now? That goal that I thought I set that I was going to be like 30 and accomplish, now I'm 16, 17, and I'm like, what next? So that was kind of the fuel, but also like the fear that really drove me to like, all right, I want to do whatever now. Like the world was so much bigger than I thought it was. That fire is just exploding now. So I had really thrown myself out, just really taken on any sort of creative endeavors that I could. And one day, one of my friends who came back from LA at the time, he was going through his closet, and he's like, hey, I have some old clothes for you if you want to just pick out some stuff. So I was going through there, and I pulled out this one crew neck, and it said novice on it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll take it. It was kind of like a weird, like kind of salmon color. I'm like, I don't really wear that color, but why not? I'll take it. And I put it on later that night. I'm like, wow, this is actually like a comfortable crew neck. Like this is enjoyable. And I'm like, novice. I've never heard of novice before. So just out of curiosity, because that's where I was at in my life, I look it up and find out that they're a clothing company based in Albany. That's crazy. I'm literally, half hour from Albany.
Right.
So I go on their website, and their photography was horrible. It was all shot on like an iPhone. I'm like, all right, these guys, they need some help. So I reached out to them, and Garrett was the one who got back to me saying, yo, like, let's make this happen. So literally later that week, we had a meeting at a coffee shop. And at that time, I'm 16, 17 years old. I roll up in the coffee shop, and he looks at me and goes, are you Andy? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I thought you were going to be like a 30-year-old dude with a mustache. And I'm like, no, I'm here. And he looks at me and goes, shouldn't you be in school? And I'm like, yeah, probably, but here we are. So from that, it was just like, that was the spark of it. And that day, he literally sent me home with like a bin of their first draft of clothing and said, like, here, take some photos of this. Show me what you got. And that was the start of it back in 2018. And yeah, it had been an amazing journey ever since.
It's like at that young age, people get so stuck in like formal education and right. It's like, and that's what's drilled into your head from the time you're in middle school. It's like, well, I'm gonna go through high school, and then I have to apply to college, and then I have to go to college, and then I have to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it's like, so did you go to college post high school, or you stayed?
No college. Yeah, it was funny because I've talked to many of my older friends, whether in their 30s, 40s now. And they get after their college years, and I've heard this many times from them where they go, I just never realized that, like, I didn't have to go to college. Like, that was just an option that is possible. Like, it was just one of those things where it just drilled in your mind, after high school, you go to college. Right. Doesn't matter what you go for, just you have to go there. You gotta go. It's like, there's actually other options. And I'm not here to talk bad about college at all, but a lot of the things that I hear about college is you go for the experience. If you want an experience, there's so many other places you can experience. Go strap a backpack on you and go travel Europe. That'll give you some life experience. College experience, you're going to get what you want to get out of it. If you show up there saying, all right, college, give me life, you're going to get screwed. You're going to end up with the wrong people. You're not going to learn from that.
Yeah, wrong. You could be wrong people, and you're going to end up in some significant debt as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like, Tyme, you feel the same way?
Oh, yeah. So I was like complete opposite of him. It was drilled in my head, like, you finish high school, you go to college. Whether or not you know what you want to do in college, you need to go, that's where you learn like your basic adult skills and you start meeting people and connections. That's what was drilled into my head. That's what I did. And then got out of college and was like, what in the world did I do? Where he was just like, nope, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think to my college experience, so I did 4 years at Springfield College, a private school in Massachusetts. And like, first off, I knew nothing about financials going into it.
Yeah.
Like mom and dad, and it's just like, they didn't know. I was the first person from our family to go to college, so nobody knew what was going on. And then when I reflect back, like the only thing that made it worth my while was a one professor that I had who was, kind of included in this network of like strength coaches in Boston, and he just helped kind of guide me to that network, is then where I got all my real world experience. Yeah. And like there's no this today without real world experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's the big thing I tell a lot of kids, like obviously you can learn from college and school and everything, but you learn so much more from experience. And obviously there's basic skills that you have to get for certain occupations and all that, but in the grand scheme, like with my college experience, I kind of got like more what like Andy was talking about. I went and I enjoyed my college experience and like had the great social aspect of it. But there's so much as far as the education side that I feel like I learned more after I left college than when I was in college,
Yeah.
especially when it pertains to my career. And that's just me personally. I know other people that, again,
Exactly.
college was the best thing for them, and I loved college. Like college, that was a great 4.5 years of my life, socially, right? But my education stuff, like I learned a lot there, and I learned a lot about like what I really wanted to do because I went in as a phys ed major, didn't finish as a phys ed major,
Yep.
but I finished still in exercise science, and then that led me down the path that I am now. So it did help me in a way of finding like what I really wanted to do, but I could have done it maybe a different way. I could have been a couple more steps ahead, a couple years ahead if I didn't go to college. But again, everybody lives and learns and goes through it. But whether it's not going to college, 'cause I have a friend that kind of did what you did, Tyme. He went to college for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
His professors literally told him, like, why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah.
They literally said to him, why are you here? Because he's been kind of like Andy, where he was doing like Photoshop stuff, YouTube stuff, all of that, like creative stuff from the time he was 13 years old. And then he goes to college and he's like, I already know all this. Why am I here? And then the professor said, and so then he ultimately drops out, and he's doing pretty well for himself now. And again, everybody's got their own path.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Andy didn't go. You went for a little
Yep.
bit. We went for the 4.5 years. I stayed an extra semester because I wasn't ready to leave yet. Like, I just wasn't ready to be an adult.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to stay an extra year.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely people that need to go to college to figure that out sometimes.
Agreed.
Like for me, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but through college, what I learned is like college
didn't want
isn't
to
what
do.
I want to do.
Right.
So then came out of it with more motivation to do what I want to do.
Right.
And some people need that.
Right. What made you realize that? Just like, you know what? I'm not getting what I want out of my life right now.
Yeah. So I went for interior design and like arts, photography, and literally went into it and was just like, I know more of this stuff that I learned off of YouTube than what they're teaching me. I'm paying a ton of money to go on for it. And I mean, I met him and was friends with him. So it was a weird like concept if he was like, what? Like, why are you doing that? I know more about photography than doing this. And then did my 2-year and like finished it out and it was just like, I'm good. Now I step into other stuff. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, I love that, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, but you have to be like internally motivated and like, I guess kind of be lucky or driven enough to like find what you're passionate about.
Yeah, it's all about the drive. And that's kind of what I was saying. If you go into college wanting to get something out of it, you will. You know, if you're in there for the friends, the relationships, you know, building that connection, you're gonna get that out of it. If you're going there, say, give it to me,
Right.
you're gonna
Yeah.
find those shorts there, because you can also step into the world and do the same thing. You know, step into just anything and say, all right, I want to make connections. You can also find that in the real world.
Like, have you guys had, because like I spent one morning last week just deep diving down your YouTube videos. And this, I'm like, they're just like well produced. Like the thumbnails are great. Like the audio quality is great. Like I just feel happy watching them. Like, have you had mentors, or you're just like figuring stuff out as you go?
It's figuring out as you go, for sure. Yeah. There's definitely people in the creative field that I certainly look up to. All of that, though, like that's years and years that you're now seeing polish. You know, like that's
Right.
my newest endeavor. I have loved YouTube as a platform for years now, and I've made my own YouTube videos under Andy Persons. And a lot of those were just kind of creative exercises of literally just getting over myself, you know, listening to how I sound, seeing myself on camera, just getting over that roadblock and just putting stuff out there just to get feedback on. So that stuff you see now, one, you know, thank you for that. I appreciate that, because that's like really what we're trying to go for with the whole Sunchaser vibe, is really just be like that light to people that they can just enjoy watching.
I was literally like,
I was getting attacked by a fly or something. But
Did you hear that outside? Yeah. Okay.
I thought that was like a special effect that he's just like.
You're right. I don't know what it was.
Another motorcycle.
No, it could have been.
Oh.
But I don't know.
Maybe,
what it
I don't know.
was.
It's
Anyway.
it's the upside down. I don't know.
Sorry to interrupt that. I got really confused for a second.
it's not like car
Is
gets
that
stolen, is
like
it?
thunder?
It could be.
Is that what it was?
I don't know.
I feel like it's like 80 and sunny outside.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
don't know.
Sunchasers.
Yeah, well, people listening, it's either the upside down's coming and you're never gonna hear this podcast,
Yeah.
or it's thunder.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Have
We'll
you
see.
finished the new season yet?
Yeah, no spoilers, but I finished it last night.
Nice.
I haven't
We're
watched
almost
any
there.
of it.
We're almost there.
Okay, it's a fantastic
It
show.
really is.
We kind of talked about it last episode, but it's just the characters are great. The season, I feel like they've just like ramped it up.
Yeah.
That
Especially because they're like, what, 20 years older now? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that vintage kind of funky 80s style, I definitely pull a lot of that inspo into my personal channel of Andy Persons. That's like what mine is. It's about just exploring cool abandoned places, and it just has that like funky style to it. So that show for me is just
It's like right up your
Yeah,
alley.
exactly.
Then
Right.
how'd you get into that? Because as I'm scrolling through the Sunchaser, and then to your YouTube, it's like there's obviously the bus side of things, which we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
But then it's you going into old warehouses and buildings. And Paul, am I afraid of everything?
Pretty close.
So I'm like, but it looks so cool.
Like, I could definitely see Mike looking at the screen, like jumping, jumping back. But no, that's cool. Like to go explore different, just like abandoned places. And
How'd you get into that?
Yeah, so that's been a brand in itself that I've been just building for years, just my personal style, and it's finally now like evolving into something that I'm becoming proud of, and it's really turning into something. We actually just passed like the monetization stage for my YouTube channel.
Oh,
So, like
congrats, let's go.
so that's
Nice,
the thing
congrats.
now. Sunchaser is us, our travel, bus life, the brand that we're building that, whereas Andy Persons, that's just me, my style, me doing weird, funky, unusual, creative things. So as far as like specific, the abandoned, it goes way back to when I was like super young. My friends lived across from local people, Saratoga Homestead. I'm sure people know about it who are listening here. Any like teens or college life kids, like that was the place to go. So I was super young. We lived across that. It was always, you stare up into the windows and you could see like people, their face or whatever. I was probably like 10 at a time. So that was like my first introduction to this place. And my friend had like, let us peek our face in the windows, like snooped around a little bit. And I remember like walking away from that place, like, oh, it's terrifying. It's haunted. I was 10 at the time. It was probably beginning of 2020, like right before COVID hit. I was like, you know what? We should just go back to that place just to check it out. So it was like one snowy afternoon. We roll up to this place.
Tyme, you go on all these too?
She does now. This one she didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
This
I
one-
don't think I even like really knew. Well, no, 2020, not when you met. Not when you
Okay,
first saw
okay.
us,
Yeah, no, that was before. So I was going out with a couple of my guy friends, and so we park on the side of the road. We go in this place, and it was cool to relive it. The place isn't like on a scale from everything else we've seen. It's a cool spot, but just the snow coming down that day, and just like the concrete. There's some really cool rooms in there, so that kind of like ignite that cool factor to it. And we left that. And I was like, that was kind of cool. Like, I would love to just explore more just the history on it. I just appreciated the history of it. So right as COVID started to hit, everyone else was too busy doing everything else. So like now
and in their
this would,
homes,
exactly
locked
I'm like,
up.
yeah.
So
this would be like the perfect time to go explore these abandoned places. So that was really when that started, and then it evolved into me. At first I was just doing like Instagram stories of it, and then I started doing like YouTube videos of it, and it's turned into something much more today. But I do just love it for just the unusual. You never know what you're gonna find. And it's always a blast.
yeah, facts.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a feeling you probably get when you're a kid that gets lost.
Yeah.
Or pushed down when you're adult. Just
Yeah.
like the unknown and the thrilling and the scariness. And what's the scariest place you've been to? Or the most scared you've been?
That's
Or you don't get scared?
well.
He acts like he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. I
Let's
pretend.
say
I
that.
pretend I
He
know.
pretends.
There's this one place called Letchworth Village. It's about 40 minutes outside the city. It's known as like one of the most haunted places in America.
Now
It
we're
was this-
talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
There, like ghost hunters have done an episode there. There's rumors of like this 10-foot tall dude with backwards legs that wanders through the morgue in the basement. And yeah, so it's usually not something that I'm super proud to talk about, but here we are. So I haven't made a video on this place yet, but so we went there. I've been there 2 or 3 times now. The first time I went there, we're reading about it. It's supposed to be spooky. We get there, super cool place. The architect of it is just amazing. We walked away from it though. We didn't die. We didn't see anything.
Right.
It was cool. So my brother comes back up from Florida one trip, and I'm like, hey, I have this super spooky place we should go to. Like, I'm trying to hype him up about it. So it's a 2-hour ride from here to there. So the entire car ride, I'm telling him about the horror stories of it and all of it, just trying to, get him to spook
Yeah,
up.
you gotta hype it up.
Exactly, trying to hype it up. And the previous time we saw nothing. So I'm just trying to, play him a little bit. We get there. The first building we walk into is like the big like dining hall. And in the middle of the room, there's just like a circle of chairs. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And we walk over to it. In the middle of the chairs, there's just like a pool of blood. And there's like a trail that goes over to one of the chairs. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it's a little weird then. Like maybe we should get out of here.
Holy, that's wild, dude.
Yeah, that's a little. That's,
So that was like the moment where like, all right, this place is legit. It's
that
a
was
little
the
creepy.
10-foot man with the.
Jeez,
back
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
then
Right.
did you keep walking through?
Oh yeah, we explored the rest of it.
Yeah.
Other weird stuff. I mean, that'll do me in right there.
Right there.
The-
Left. Been out.
That place is weird because you don't leave that place feeling happy. There's something that's just dark and eerie about it. I mean, there's just like the satanic graffiti all over the walls,
Right.
blah blah. We found a couple rooms that had like the candles and like balloons and blah blah blah. But it's a weird spot.
And then you research it, like stuff has happened there, or
Yeah. I mean, we could go into the history of it. It was actually funny because we were leaving that day and ran into one of the nurses that used to be there, and she told us just a couple like the horror stories that she had lived through there. And it's a weird, messed up place, but
dude,
that's for
what's
another day.
it called again? In case people wanna look it up.
Letchworth Village.
Jeez,
Yeah.
man.
So that's
Yeah.
a fun place. Fun
like-
spot to explore.
And there's definitely more to explore there as well.
Yeah,
Like
the
a ton.
campus is huge. It's like 240 buildings, so the campus of it it's massive.
I haven't been there.
No,
I won't
would
go
not
there.
bring her there.
Yeah,
I
no,
was-
don't bring me either.
I was on vacation and I was like, "Where are you going this week?" And I think like he was already on the road going. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to this place." And he came back and told me what happened. I'm like, "And you didn't leave right away after like seeing that?" Because I would have been out. I would have, but he's gone there twice now. So
No, you're so brave, Andy. Yeah, I'd be gone.
There's some really cool places that we've been to.
Listen,
Too.
Yeah,
as soon as I
true.
saw that pool
True.
of blood, I would have been out.
Yeah.
yeah, especially because it wasn't dried. So
Yeah, no.
Wild, man.
In
Jeez.
the 50s, the like upstate New York was the prime tourist spot right outside the city. So there's a string of resorts called the Borscht Belt, and there's probably 20 resorts that back in the 50s, these resorts that was prime entertainment. Now we have entertainment right at our thumbs, but back in the day, that's what you went for entertainment.
Yeah.
By 90s, early 2000s, no one cared about them at all. So there's literally these 20 massive multi-million-dollar resorts that are just completely abandoned today. And those are really cool to explore. I made a couple videos on those spots, and those are just super cool. Just
be
the
like
architecture.
timeshare, so.
Yeah, just to see like the architecture and stuff's just like it's left still.
Yeah.
yeah,
Some of these places, they literally they couldn't pay their taxes on it or restoration, so most of them got evicted, kicked out, and the stuff just left there.
yeah.
So
Well, it's like the one hotel we went to, with the fire.
yeah,
And
a lot
like
of fires.
each room we walked into, you could literally see like the personality of that person based on the stuff that they left.
Oh yeah, she was talking about
So
one.
like one room was like this guy wanted to be an artist, like a music artist. So he had like on the back of his door it was like his dream written out. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. He had like checks all over the floor. Another room had like Jordans and like super sports
Yeah.
gear in it.
It was
It's
cool.
super
It
crazy.
was a hotel for a while, and of course the hotel was going out of business, so they just turned it into apartments. And then it had the biggest wildfire in the Catskills, and that place burnt down to the ground. But one of the section of it was still standing, so everyone evacuated into fire and then wasn't allowed back in. So these were apartment rooms that people were living at. So when they evacuated, they literally left everything in there.
Literally everything.
So what she's talking about is like we could walk into a room and you could like tell who the person was that
Yeah.
used to live there because of
It was so weird.
of what they would leave behind. It was pretty cool. It was really
That
cool
is
to see.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm so impressed with too? Like, how old are you guys if you want to share? You're young.
I'm 19,
I'm 21.
It's like
almost 20.
majority of 19 and 21-year-olds I know all day, their face is just in this thing and just
Hopefully looking at the content we're creating.
hopefully look at your content for sure. But like, yeah, or either just like, don't see a clear path, which is young. You guys are like fortunate to find your
Yeah.
passions this young and be able to start putting hours toward building it.
Totally. And that's something that I hear a lot, like, oh, you're lucky that you know what you wanted to do. I don't really want to give it credit to that. I think there's definitely a certain amount of just not laziness, but almost just like a chip off your shoulder. It's easier to say that than to do anything else.
For sure.
Where I really just encourage people, just do anything. Do a little bit of everything. Just put yourself out there, try everything. It might not be, what you thought you'd want to do, or
Right.
you might not be loving it in the moment, but just try a little bit of everything.
That's what high school should be.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Agreed.
Dip your toes in everything that you
Everything.
can.
The-
And by college age, you
Then-
might have a feel of what you want to do.
right.
right.
But it's tough because like the systems in place don't really set
Not at
kids
all.
up for that at all.
Yeah.
But nowadays with social media, like everything's at your fingertip. If you want to do anything or try
Yeah,
anything,
talk about this because in terms of the context of high school athletes, because we see a lot of high school athletes in here, we'll talk about social media in a negative context a lot because kids are always going on there and comparing themselves to others. Because when Paul and I grew up, before there was the influence of social media, you only knew the kids you were playing with and from the schools next to
Right.
you. But now it's so much easier to compare yourself to others and then have your motivation be not in the best place, because now you just want to post about the game you just had or about the college that you're going to go to just to get like the clout of the post. But there's a lot of positives of social media too, and you guys, like we were talking about before there was the thunder or the upside down opened up. Like when I was watching your videos, Sam was on the couch, I was at the kitchen table, I was like, Sam, I'm so happy right now, like come watch these. Like there's a lot of positives to it.
Definitely, if you use social media as a tool, it's amazing what you can get done.
For sure. How much are you like game planning and structuring how you want to post stuff versus just like, okay, we're going to go through our day and then let it rip?
Yeah, for sure. Even touching back to like, what you're saying about high school kids, there's certainly a pressure about, having to tell your story on social media nowadays. Don't feel that pressure either. Like everyone is in a different walk of life. It's so easy to compare yourself to each other, but you're not that person, stay in your lane, live your life, do what you want to do. And don't compare yourself to that other person. As far as like our strategy for content, we definitely want to just create content of the stuff that we do love doing.
Yeah.
And that's something that, we're still really trying to figure out where we're hitting that niche. We started our Sunchaser brand beginning of this year. So we're still fairly new into it.
Yeah, let's talk about that before we get going more. So like, what is the Sunchaser brand and how did that come about?
Totally. Want me to take it?
Sure. I named it. But.
Yeah, exactly. So she named it. She named Sunchaser. The desire for it really started back, as I was kind of like mid, probably 19 to 20, wanting to move out, wanting to go do my own thing, leave my parents' house, blah, blah, blah. I don't like renting financially. Just renting a place financially just never made sense for me. So like I want a place of my own. But buying a house at 19 in New York,
the market was like that.
Exactly. Did not sound like a good idea to me. One, I wanted to travel more. I wasn't really ready to buy a house. So I was like, all right, what if I could travel but also have a place of my own? What if you just took a house and stuck wheels on it? There you go. So I had seen that bus idea where people turn school buses into tiny homes. And I had shown her one day, this was back even when we were just friends. And she's like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, that was my way. Like, hey, we should do that someday, And I also love the shipping container houses. I don't know if you've ever seen those before. They turn like those cargo shipping containers into homes.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Coming soon.
Exactly.
One of my clients in New York was thinking about doing that.
Oh really? Yeah. Sweet.
Wait, Paul, show me one of those. What's it look like?
Yeah. So
they just put.
It's
so
crazy.
Like, it's the back, like literally like
the back of like a tractor trailer.
Back of a tractor trailer, or what they put on boats and ship them across. And they turn them into just these really modern looking clunky designs. Super funky. I love them. And
you do whatever you want with them.
exactly. So
like this, right?
yeah. I mean, that's a small one,
I
but
mean, it's a small one, but still like something.
If you go on our
Oh, yeah, that's
So
Is it
you
on
can,
your?
people,
Is it on your?
I don't know where they are, but
it's probably on our
the cool thing about them is they're meant for stacking on top of each other because they're shipping containers. So people do some cool designs where they'll layer them on top. You'll have some overhangs. Yeah, that's a cool one right
like
there.
this one's got like 3 of them. Like
you can do like you can do 3, you cut holes wherever you want.
oh, this one.
Anything.
it's a blank canvas to
Yeah,
you, probably.
literally.
Exactly.
Yeah, for
That's-
sure.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like that's wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's something like that.
Yeah.
Our design is kind of do like a square open in the middle, so you kind of have like this atrium like open in the middle. So anyway, that was an idea that we had thrown out there that we wanted to achieve one day. But we wanted a place to call our owner now. So we went, let's put a bus, travel around, and then find a place where we can call home, and then maybe one day build this. So originally, we bought the bus. I just started posting on my Instagram saying, hey, I bought a bus. But then after a while, it just didn't blend with my style of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we kind of got talking, like, how could we start this brand of like the bus, maybe turn that into something just somewhere people could follow our stuff. And that's when she came up with the Sunchaser idea, because she always just loves the sun.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We're literally standing in the bus
Yeah.
building it one day. And that's where that idea was born. And at first, it was just an Instagram account of where you could just follow the Sunchaser bus. That's what it was called. And then we evolved that name to Sunchaser Skoolie, because that's what they're called, the Skoolies.
Right. I think that's how we came up with the name.
Yeah.
Is we were posting about it and we're like, there's a ton, like the community out there of Skoolie community, like amazing and fantastic. And we started noticing like everyone else has a name for their bus.
Yeah.
And it was probably a couple months after we got it. And I'm like, I really don't know. Because it was also like a gray color, looked like a tank.
Yeah.
The previous owner, I mean, it looked like a World War II, you're hiding out in this thing. So I was like, I don't know yet. And then I was like, Sunchaser. And that stuck. So then we transformed it to Sunchaser Skoolie.
Yep.
And then slowly realized that like, man, this could be something. So
Yeah, as we started, kind of just posted more on Instagram. We kind of got, our goal is to like just get the attention of all the main Skoolie accounts, which are, there's some pretty big names out there. And it kind of started to evolve to a little bit more. And I was like, what if we started, kind of creating content under this? And that's where the Sunchaser Media was born, where it was an excuse to not only just the brand that we're building, but now we can also create client work through this.
Right.
And that's where Sunchaser Media Co. was born. And now it's evolved, into so much more now where, we've started our TikTok, our YouTube, and it's turning into this lifestyle home brand. And it's growing every day.
It's amazing when you can then, I love you can start to blend your passions with now that's how you're making your income. It's like things don't even feel like work.
Yeah.
Like I tell Paul every day, like just hanging out with my friends all day. Yeah, there's a lot of thought and structure and like stress behind the scenes. But once you like put it into play, it's like
Yeah,
it's all a good time.
The Sunchaser itself is evolving every day. I mean, like even this, like for a podcast for you guys, how many, what episode are
This
we
is
at right now?
we're on lucky number 13.
Nice, 13.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like you're hitting the groove yet? Do you find like you have like a structure?
I feel like we talked about it actually today.
Yeah, I think what I like about this is every episode is so different.
Yeah.
Different types of people with different interests and from different backgrounds. So to me, I feel like every episode has a different feel. I feel like we're getting in our stride. We talked before we went on air with just the technical side of things.
Yeah.
Like none of us have a tech background. None of us have an editing background. My brother has a writing background, and I've always wanted to do a project with my brother. So that's why I brought him into this, and he was just like all hands on deck, willing to learn as he goes, which is incredible. So I feel like we're in our stride in that front, but each episode, I don't know, Paul, I don't know where we're going to go every time we turn on the mics.
Honestly, the mics come on. We have a game plan. Like we have the outline of like
Right.
what questions we want to ask, and I sit here and highlight them a lot of the times and go through them. But then you never know where the conversation is going to go. So it's a fun experience because we come in with a game plan with somebody, whether it's you guys or when we have, the last one was a little less game plan, but we had Dr. Robert Zayas on from New York State Public High School. We have a game plan with him, and then all of a sudden things go in different directions. He starts telling us more about his life and how he came up, so then other questions pop up in our head. It's really cool just all the different dynamics you get from somebody that is an executive director of New York State Public High School to our high school friends to now we have you guys on here. It's a really cool dynamic, and I thoroughly enjoy looking for.
I love it. Well, just think when we communicate during the weeks, like both of our plates, all of our plates are always so full. So when we got to touch base, it's just like boom, 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 we touch base and then move right on.
Yeah.
It's really hard in life to get moments like this where you could just sit down
Yeah.
Down and talk.
and talk to somebody.
For
So
sure.
Yeah, that's like the best part of it for me, for
Yeah,
sure.
that is cool.
So where are you at with the Sunchaser bus right now?
We're getting pretty close. So, I said at the beginning, we just got married. So now we took a little bit of break to give time to that. And now we're back full swing of things. So we're trying to get everything finished up by end of summer. We don't want to be here for another winter. That's the goal.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
You guys both grew up around here?
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the winters are tough. It's been hard for me. So I grew up around here in Chatham, a small town, and then I moved to Boston we weren't married at the time, we were just dating, but my wife now, Sam, and that was just like an incredible experience for me to be in a city and things moving at a fast pace and just like a different style of life. So I was scared when we had to move back here because I'm like, oh my gosh, like first off, all our friends, I know the pace of life is going to be slower. I know I got to drive at least 25 minutes to get to anything I want to get to.
Yep.
Everything's always like at least 25 minutes
Everything.
away from each other. Yeah, man. So I don't blame you guys.
Yeah, I don't blame you either. I mean, and for me, like I went down to New York City for a couple years, and I had that same kind of fear when I was basically forced to move back up here from COVID. And luckily, a lot of very positive things have come out of it. Got to work here with Mike, and who's been a friend of mine since I was 7 years old. I live with my childhood best friend now, so a lot of good things came out of it. But going down to New York in that busy lifestyle and getting to experience that, I still had to experience the shitty New York winters. But in the grand scheme of things, that just unlocked so much more of my capacity, I feel like, for just life and like what I'm open to. And then again, like the speed of life. Like when I'm here, it's like yeah, we have to go through the day sometimes, like it's fast paced. But in general, I'm like, this is nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I may be tired at the end of the day, but it's nothing compared to what like going in it through a day in like New York or Boston is like. It's
Yeah.
it's
Well,
completely different.
You two are about to see so many different
Oh,
places
yeah,
and
it's gonna
meet
be awesome.
different people and see different things.
Talk about opening up your
Exactly. I
your
remember when
spectrum.
you know, this place, when you first got this place, but where did CDSF start? Like, where did that dream start? Where was that become into a reality?
It started on a piece of paper in an old basement apartment I had in Waltham, Mass, outside of Boston. We had no lights, like an airplane window. And Sam and I had just started talking about like what the next step of our life is going to be. This was in 2016. And I said, if we're going to move back home, like I don't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to pay rent. I don't want to pay rent. I want to have to answer to myself and kind of put my chips in and kind of be in charge of whether it's for better or worse, in charge of where my life's going to end up. So I just started brainstorming business names and and the direction we would go there. Because in Boston, there's a lot of gyms that have this type of structure, like small groups, semi-private, very customized. And I would keep looking back and be like, is there anything here yet? I'd be like, no, there's not. And look again and be like, no, there's not. So once I knew that we could probably like tap into this market, I just brainstormed names. And really, I was just thinking search engine for real when I came up with this name. I was like, okay, I'm going to cover Capital District, sports and fitness. Like if someone's looking for a gym, they're around here, like those are all words they'd probably put in. So that's how I came up with that name.
And it flows.
And it flows. So it was that, and then linking up with Dan, who I went to college with. So I linked up with him it was like 2017 Thanksgiving. And then it was just like ground running after that. I would drive back and forth from Boston to here to meet with him, go back to see clients. And then we just kind of put things in motion, leased this in January and opened in June.
Yeah.
So
Super cool.
And I remember when this opened, I came in for like the soft opening to do a workout before I worked here because I didn't start working here till 2020. So I was down in New York. And when he opened the gym, there was zero surprise to me because knowing Mike since I was 7 years old, Mike was always in the gym when we were in high school, always working out. That's just when I thought of Mike and the gym, like those two things went hand in hand. So when he was opening a gym, and I knew what he was doing in Boston too, because always like Mike and I have always stayed in touch, like here and there. Like it might be like once a month or once every couple months, but there was always like some sort of communication. And like I would always see what he was doing, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't surprise me. Like zero surprise at all that he was doing this. And then when the opportunity rose for me to get a job here, I was literally sitting at my kitchen table with my mom and my niece, looking at apartments in Pittsfield, because that's where I had lived before New York, and I had clients over there that I was getting ready to potentially work with again. And I get a text from Mike about that they were looking to hire a coach going into the winter. I looked at my mom, I looked at the screen, I was like, don't think Pittsfield's going to be the move. And she's like, why? And I was like, Mike just basically said that they want to bring me on as a coach. And she's like, I love that. And, getting that reassurance from your mom is great because I'm a mama's boy through and through. But, like, I knew, like, this was the right move even before that. So then that snowballed into me looking for, like, apartments closer to here instead of Pittsfield. But, yeah, like, when that happened and I knew he was opening it, I was like, I'm not surprised. And then come full circle, and now I'm in here.
Yeah.
Working here with everybody and working with Mike, it's a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool that you're able to think of that passion, that dream, and then be able to live it out every life. Because it even goes back to what we talked about, where not everyone knows what they want to do, but when you are blessed to find something that you do love to do, and you're able to just run with that, that's an amazing thing.
So you got to find it and you got to run with it, but also how much structure and discipline goes in every day and behind the scenes?
There needs to be a crazy
That's what people need to understand. It's like, this sounds so fun. Like Andy and Tyme, they got a bus and they post about it. You're like, or they own a gym, they just work out and hang out all day. You're like, well, yeah, but.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always joke about it because I know you'll get exactly what you say. You said you wanted to work for yourself, right? You want to be able to control your schedule. Basically, you didn't want to work a 9 to 5, so you chose to work 24/7.
100%.
That's how it works.
Have it no other way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to work for yourself, it's nonstop. It never ends.
Well, and I remember speaking of like all the behind the scenes stuff, we had one of our athletes in here, and I was talking to them about writing somebody's program, and she's like, oh, you guys actually like sit down and like have to think about this? I thought you guys just kind of were like boom, 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 put it in and print it out. I was like, yeah, like this is where
Yeah.
Like most of our, besides obviously the keeping the business running, but like most of our brain power is put into like writing the program.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think how just on the outside perspective, what you don't see, and like for you guys or for Mike, so many people don't see what he does on an everyday basis. They see him for that hour and a half that they're here, and then they're like, all right, I'm out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we got that first, oh, you can go ahead and go.
How is it working together as a couple? Because like Sam helps out a lot at the gym, but it like took time for us to figure out boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, again, we're still learning at the beginning
Yeah, I
of
would
the
say
year.
we're still
Which is-
still
which is
figuring all
great.
that out. Yeah.
It's fun because it's really a reflection of our life is how we're trying to move it into. You know, we want to be able to kind of get to the point where we can just pick up a camera and point in a direction and it entitles the Sunchaser vibe, you know, whether it's the clothes we wear or the, you know, the way the bus looks, all of that. So it's fun in that sense, but then like you said, there has to be those kind of those boundaries where the days where we don't want to pick up a camera, or the days where we just treat ourselves, or, you know, work on this and not work on YouTube. You know, there's definitely that balance there. I think we're still learning it,
Yeah.
but right now it's been a blast.
It's honestly easier for him because like he had always been like that and knew that he wanted to do that. But finding my passion, you know, almost a year and a half ago after college, I don't always know what the structure should be or like how much I should put in.
Right.
But he's always told me like, if you want to be self-employed, this is going to be a 24/7 thing. He doesn't ever stop working. That's him all the time.
Sounds familiar.
So I'm still learning that. Like,
Right.
you got to be really self-disciplined to do this.
And you have to be really good at communicating.
yeah.
yeah.
That's the one
That's
thing
the hard. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
especially
certainly
like,
learned that.
hey, you know, I don't really feel like filming today. And I think there's truth to if you don't feel like filming and you push the idea out, that idea is not going to look half as good as it should when you were super self-motivated.
Do you have to learn that though through trial and error?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so. So when we first got that spark of Sunchaser, right, we made the name. It's kind of become more than just a name for the bus. It's kind of building this brand.
Yeah.
You know, we have the Sunchaser media on Instagram. We did a challenge on Instagram. Like once we reach 1,000 followers on our Instagram, we're going to start a YouTube. So we blew past that like in a second. Like literally the day after that, we got 1,000. Like, oh, cool. All right, sweet. So then we're
Right.
like, all right.
Was there a strategy to that, or just like put out content and it goes?
There was. So basically after that, we're like, all right, let's start a TikTok. TikTok's the hot,
Right.
you know,
I was
social
all
media
over
right now.
TikTok, so I was like, yeah.
So we said, all right, if we're going to put out this, we're going to start this Sunchaser media. Let's have some strategy to it. Let's see if this can actually work. So we did a challenge for 30 days. We posted. Well, basically, I wanted to post as much as possible. So I said, all right, what's a crazy amount? What if we posted like 5 times a day on TikTok?
For
Like that-
quality videos, that's a crazy
That's
amount.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Well,
I'm like,
especially
let's- I'm
him
like,
working like 3 other accounts too at the same
yeah.
time.
I was still working
Yeah.
pretty much a full-time job at the time. So like, all right, 5's a crazy amount. So let's double that. Let's post 10 TikToks a day. So for 30 days, we posted 10 TikToks.
Wow.
Our first
Holy
month.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot. That was a incredible
We have a hard
grind.
time posting one.
Yeah.
I'm like, Paul, can you do the post?
Yeah. I remember like working in the bus and he's, you know, just surrounding me, like doing this. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, no, it's my 5th time posting today. I got 5 more to go. And I like was just new to editing TikToks and like, what is quality? What do
Yeah.
you mean? Like,
Right.
get me saying a joke or something, you know, to go viral. And he's like, no, like he had a strategy. So I was the face and the personality. And he's just like, 7 times.
Do
3
something
more.
funny here.
Right, exactly.
And in our first month of doing that, you know, I think it was in like 5 days, we had a video that hit like 20,000. Like, that's cool. Like, that's one of like the biggest numbers I've ever seen, you know, from some of the content that I've just personally put out there. Like
And in
20,000
that quick
people.
of
Like,
time,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like 20,000 people. Like, that's cool. And then, you know, we kept going. The next day, we had a video that hit like 50,000. And I'm like, that's awesome. 50,000. Within by that first week, we had a video that hit like almost 1 million. And that one was cool because it was a winter day. Our name's Sunchaser. So we're like, how do we make Sunchaser?
Right.
How do I make 10 Sunchaser TikToks in a winter setting?
We're wearing like 6 jackets. We got like boots
It
on.
doesn't embody Sunchaser at all.
Super demotivated to do anything.
And it was just one day that we like walked outside and the bus had like a bunch of like icicles. It was just like literally like iced over. You know how the,
The
winters
whole
are
thing.
here.
Yeah.
So the video was literally just titled, you know, you're in the 518 when, and it just showed a video of our bus. And that was one that, you know, got almost 1 million views. And that was cool because that really brought us a strong upstate New York following. So now right off the bat, you know, within a week into it, we have, well, that first month brought us 10,000 followers. So we had, you know, almost 1 million upstate New Yorkers whose eyes were on us and following us now.
Yeah.
which is cool because that's where that's where we're from, that's where we're starting. So that was that first month 10K, and then it was pretty much 10K every month after that within that good chunk of time. So
Wow. Where are you at now?
we're like 40K, I think.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So would that be your biggest piece of advice if somebody wants to start a TikTok or any page? Is it just consistent posting?
Yes. It's funny because everyone says quality over quantity. Unfortunately, with the way TikTok is going, TikTok is the platform right now. If you want to have any type of online following, you want to use social media to your advantage, TikTok is the place to be.
Especially for like small businesses and anything. Like,
Instagram
Is that because is it still like freer? Like there's less of an algorithm influence what people see, or no?
the TikTok algorithm is incredible. I've used it very strategically a few times now, and it's worked out in my favor many times. For example, even that one TikTok I was talking about, our hashtags that we put were all upstate New York based.
Yeah.
And then TikTok was able to see that and then give that to upstate New Yorkers. So instead of, them showing video to someone out in Cali who goes, what, 518, why do I care about this? It showed it to 518ers. So, and everyone else, even around New York. So everyone's being commenting on that video like, oh, I'm from here. That's
Right.
So TikTok algorithm in that way is incredible. Short form content though, everyone has such short attention spans now. It's that mindless scrolling that can certainly be the downside of TikTok, but it also is just easy access to entertainment. You hop on there and you choose what you want to see.
Right.
You don't like it, you keep swiping.
Well, and with the algorithm, I feel like, at least for me, I'm not on TikTok that much, but whenever I feel like the way it curates what you see, like on the For Your Page thing, is so much better than Instagram or fucking Facebook is ridiculous. But like, Instagram, in a sense that like Instagram, I still get random shit that I'm like, why is this popping up? Yeah. But when I go on my TikTok, it's all comedy, music, and like sports stuff.
Yeah.
And that's because that's what I've followed and liked.
Exactly.
Whereas on Instagram, it's like I get these random things and I'm like, what? And I probably follow a lot more people on Instagram, so that might be part of the issue. But at the same time, I'm like, this is nothing that I'm really interested in. Whereas, like you said, TikTok's algorithm, they see, the hashtags for upstate New York, and they're like, let's send this to people that are in upstate New York.
That's why I always laugh about it when someone's like, I hate TikTok. It's just a bunch of girls dancing. And I'm like,
It's so
that
much
must be
more
the videos
than
you're
that
liking
now.
because
Right, you're the one who's making it.
you're the one.
Exactly.
You're the one
That
who's
was
watching
when, TikTok was Musically is what it was called.
Yeah.
And it was like, you take an audio, you lip sync to it, you dance to it. And then it turned into TikTok. And it was that for a little while. And then
it's become so much more.
it's literally a business for people.
Yeah. Going back to the quality of quantity, because I realized I kind of left that hanging there. Yes, quantity is super important on TikTok, but I think the value is really the keyword that comes in here. What are you giving to your audience that's of value, whether it's educational, whether it just makes them laugh, whatever that value might be. Quantity, super important, but it doesn't have to be quality. I'd say just give value. It can be on your phone. Like if you put a $1 million TikTok on uploaded it and you have a huge production value, it's probably not even gonna do that great. iPhone videos are where it's at, so quality, but give value to it. And I think that's the key.
This episode of Off Exit 10 is brought to you by Anchor and the all-new Anchor Pro, crafted to endure the most high-performance workouts without the high cost and space requirements of a standard cable machine. Named the best portable cable machine by Men's Health Home Gym Awards, Anchor provides the full functionality of a cable machine in one small space-saving unit. Designed with user-friendliness in mind, Anchor can simply be attached to any squat rack or placed on any wall in your home gym using its intuitive sliding track mount. With up to 65 pounds of resistance, Anchor is built for high speed and controlled exercises alike, from cable presses and rows to chops and lifts. The Anchor has been a game changer for us here at CDSF, and now you can enjoy the same professional quality cable machine in your own home gym by heading over to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. Get all the benefits of a cable machine without the high cost and installation fees. Enjoy the portable luxury and space-saving performance of Anchor today by going to anchortraining.com and using code CDSF10 at checkout. That's anchortraining.com, promo code CDSF10 for 10% off your order today. The iPhone camera is crazy, though. How much, right?
I mean, now.
do you use that a lot for stuff? I know you have like nice cameras and equipment, and
It's crazy because I use TikTok a lot nowadays. We manage with Sunchaser Media. We manage other people's TikToks nowadays. So
does that get stressful?
Well,
I
Time's
enjoy
like,
it. Yeah.
yes. Time's like, yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I enjoy it. It's certainly a different type of content that I ever thought I'd be creating because where, I very, not rarely, but don't use my expensive cameras as much as I used to. I have a $5,000 camera.
Because of the
sitting
iPhone.
there. Exactly, because of the iPhone. Because now, I've seen that the best TikTok content is the one that actually is shot on your iPhone. So
like the most raw, unedited videos do the best.
So yeah, to answer your question, the iPhone definitely.
Well, and I think I've noticed that even just, in the fitness industry, the more raw, unedited videos are the ones that are better to watch now than, because, go back not even 5 years, 2 years. Everybody's editing everything.
Exactly.
It's got to be the most perfect shot.
Yeah, the
and
filters on everything.
filters,
Yeah.
the lighting, everything. It's that one shot. They took 50 freaking pictures or videos to get.
Yeah.
Now it's that the more raw and uncut it is, it's almost the better it is as far as the fitness industry goes. Obviously, if you're making like a music video,
Right.
but even that, some of the best music videos are
Yeah.
like super, just like raw footage. I think of like the Kanye documentary with all the raw footage from that. It's cool to see that kind of stuff, and then you mix in the really cool production.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes.
Right.
You hit it right there. We're leaving that Instagram era where everything's overly produced, everything's perfect, there's no flaws. That took a huge toll on the social media society.
Yeah.
Now we're leaving that, and we're just heading into just that raw, real life, and that's what people want to see nowadays. They don't. We've all seen the perfect celebrities, the perfect Hollywood. And it's interesting to see even pop culture change from Hollywood to social media stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
There's a lot of kids who are bigger fans of YouTubers, TikTokers than even people.
You
who've
look
never
at,
seen
I don't know much about who are the guys who do fighting now?
Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
Huge, right?
them. Yeah.
Huge.
Yep.
They were,
Yeah.
Jay, what was the thing back? Vine. Do you remember Vine
Yeah,
back in the
That's
day?
what the Paul brothers started on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I listen to them talk, though, even like Jake Paul, when I'm not listening to him in like a boxing setting or a part where he's like trying to do promotion and he like actually talks about business and social media and promoting things, like it goes back to what you said. There's structure. Everything he is doing, there is a structure behind it, and there's a reason why he's doing it.
The Paul brothers are some of the smartest people when it comes to the market. Jake Paul specifically, especially in his fights right now, he's doing some of the most brilliant marketing
Like
ever.
he's taking what Floyd Mayweather did as a regular boxer and now is doing it to help everybody anybody that wants to make money in that setting can
Logan
do it.
fought Floyd, but yes.
Yeah, but I'm saying like because Floyd Mayweather is a self-promoter.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Exactly.
That's why he was the richest boxer because he didn't have to pay a promoter.
Yeah.
He paid himself.
Yep.
He got $100 million from a fight. That was his money.
Yep.
Nobody else's.
Exactly.
That's what I meant by that is they took what
Yep.
he did it like with self-promoting to a whole nother level now. And that's for them, like when he talks about it, he wants with Jake Paul, wants to help especially MMA fighters.
Wants Dana White to
Exactly.
pay
It's
them.
Dana White to pay your fighters, essentially. Like boxers get paid all these millions of dollars, and UFC fighters get maybe $100,000.
Yeah.
And
and he's cutting that even more now. He's reversing that.
Yeah,
so
this
it's
is
cool
true.
to see people like that, and when you dive deeper in, besides what you see with all the antics. And
Do you listen to Logan's podcast at all?
I don't.
Dude,
You should-
funny.
yeah.
as-
It's good?
Yeah,
dude.
give it a listen.
Oh my gosh.
I get their highlights all the time on like either like Instagram or TikTok, and there is some funny shit.
Yeah,
for
they,
sure.
they got a good balance of co-hosts. You have Logan, who honestly is probably the quietest on the set, but then they have this other guy, George. He's a Christian, which is a really interesting mix. 'Cause you often have a lot of philosophical combo that goes on there. And then
Makes
you
it
have,
interesting, though.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have Logan's right-hand man, Mike, who is basically like an ex-druggie who was a nobody who happened to meet Logan, and now he is who he is. So
But it's like some of the comedy too.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, Mike's
Like
hilarious.
Mike's the one I feel like whenever I see a clip, like that's the ones always that make me laugh when
Yeah.
when he's
Yep.
the one that
Exactly.
pops up.
Because he doesn't care.
No.
He'll come right at you with anything he wants to say. Yeah.
It was I've been in the professional filmmaking world for a lot of time now, and it's been great. I've been able to meet a lot of awesome people. I love the YouTube scene though, and I've even been listening to people like the Paul brothers, the Impulsive podcast, that scene of YouTube, and I was like, I want to do more in that scene.
Because why? Is it you can be longer with the format?
Yes, and even up to the beginning of this year, when we started Sunchaser Media, I had been creating client work for the longest time, and it had been a very, very long time that I created since I created something for myself, something that I really enjoyed, and it's been awesome working with people like Harrison Bucker. He's the kicker for the Chiefs, or, Trevor Williams, he pitches for the Mets. Pro athletes, it's awesome, it's amazing, but I hadn't created like what I really wanted to create. And I knew I wanted to step into that world, with being able to create our own content. And I was like, I wonder if there's some way, we can get connected with Logan Paul or with, in that world. And pretty much as soon as I stepped my foot into that door, I got connected with Alex Weber, who is, he's a host on American Ninja Warrior. He competed on American Ninja Warrior for a while, but he also knows Logan Paul. He was, he hosted when Logan Paul went on American Ninja Warrior. So it was pretty cool.
Which is funny because the photo of them, oh my gosh, Logan looks like a baby.
Yeah.
Like 16 years old. He's so young.
So it was a cool a bit of encouragement as we stepped into this world now. We're only a few months into it, but like right off the bat, like, all right, one day, it'd be cool to see if I could work with Logan Paul or be in that circle of friends. And now I'm like one connection away already. And it's like, there it is.
Right.
That's how cool the world is, though. When you put yourself out there, a lot of times you're one or two connections away.
Yeah.
And that even go back to what you talked about when you first got into it with the
Andrew
singer.
McMahon.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you were planning for that for 30 and it happened at
Exactly.
16, 17 years old.
I think like that's the message that should be like taught to high schoolers, that like even my dad told me so long, like, you got to go to college for the connections. And it was one of his biggest, like, what he always told me. So I was like, no, I got to go. Like, you meet people. Maybe I'll meet some music people that help me start this.
Is this all, that's more meaningful pre-internet, but now post-internet,
Yeah.
Right.
I can meet.
Where he was meeting people, like when he was 16, he already did Andrew McMahon.
Right.
And, I'm, 19 months apart? Yeah. A little bit later, I'm like, no, I got to get connections from college. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you do your social media, right? It's all about meeting people. Go to New York City and just start talking to everybody. Go to anywhere. Talk to as many people as you can. And you'd be surprised how close you are. I was like, huh.
Yeah, you meet a different version of connections. When you go to college, I have a buddy of mine, he goes to film school, and he has a lot of great connections with other film students. So he has that group of people who are all film, so 20, 30, maybe even 50 people who all do what he loves. And that's cool because you have that group of friends where...
And like motivation
from
other people.
And you can pull that. So that's a cool connection to have. But when you're looking for people who are already doing it, you can make that connection through social media.
Right.
And like Mike was saying before, like that's that whole, like, I guess, pre and post social media thing. Like us growing up, making connections was through, like, we could go to New York in a sense and just talk to whoever, but
But you couldn't just DM somebody.
Yeah,
I gotta find
exactly.
somebody who knows
Exactly.
somebody to
Yeah.
get their phone number, to get their email.
Yep.
It really is crazy because you put it in a perspective of like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, social media was like a whole different world.
Right.
That's true. It's
And
evolving every day.
Do you you follow anybody like fitness wise?
Yeah.
Do you follow Bradley Martin at all?
Yeah.
So he's somebody that I followed like from, I don't even know. I followed him for years, and I don't pay as close attention as I used to. His podcast is really good.
Raw talk.
But just seeing him go from, he was on like MySpace and Facebook.
He's played
and
the social media game for a long
he
time.
knew about what Twitter was going to become before Twitter became what it was, because
Yep.
he did all this research on it. Then he did Twitter, and then he did that, and it's all about. And he talks about like the college thing, and he literally dropped out of college with a semester left.
Yeah.
And was like, this isn't going to get me where I want to go, and made his connections. And it's crazy to see somebody who went from the beginning of social media to where he is now. And you were talking about like YouTube, and I feel like it's a little cyclical in a sense, because I feel like YouTube was the thing originally for him.
Yep.
Then it switched over to like Instagram.
Yep.
And then TikTok, and now YouTube's kind of making a comeback because they're doing stuff with like the shorts and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see how it's all changed. And like I've seen somebody who literally started with like MySpace to where
now.
he is now, and it's really cool. And like how you guys have embraced that whole whole social media aspect and using it as a tool.
It definitely, and it really is, and Instagram, people say, it's on its way out. It's a dying platform. Instagram is still one of my favorite platforms ever because it is the connecting tool. On TikTok, you have to follow each other to be able to message someone. On Instagram, I could send a DM to Dwayne The Rock Johnson
I was
now.
gonna say.
And it's on his phone.
And it is on
That's
his
wild
phone.
to think.
Exactly.
Whether he's going to look at it or not, well, that's
Right.
up to the user.
Like-
but I have that potential. It's insane.
Right.
It's
Like
super
how
cool.
many, TikTok notifications does that man get every single day?
Right.
And what are the odds that he's going to look at you and be like, yeah, we'll let him follow me. We'll let him. But no. Instagram's like, this guy's in my DMs.
Yeah,
That's the amazing
Instagram's got the
factor.
more direct connection.
Yeah.
And
So
like
for
I said-
that, it'll always be,
Yeah.
Right. And with it being cyclical, who knows where Instagram could change in the future
Right.
to become more popular again, like YouTube has.
Yeah.
You know, YouTube.
they're trying everything.
Right. Like I
Yeah.
feel like YouTube died for a little bit, and
Yeah.
now it's in the last probably couple years, it's starting to make that
Yeah.
more known again.
Which
So-
is super nice because it's the longer form content that he loves to do.
I like telling a story.
Yeah.
That's definitely where my passion is,
Right.
is being able to tell that story, whether you're getting value out at the end of it or just making you laugh.
Well, you're a filmmaker.
Exactly.
Which is
Yeah.
what our motivation is
Yeah.
for Sunchaser videos too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to teach someone something through this video. I'm not going to do an unboxing of a toilet and leave you guys hanging at the end of it.
I mean, listen, we got some pretty funny unboxing videos.
No,
but-
I make Dan, our my business partner. He buys shoes like no other. Shout out Dan buying his shoes. And
Dan could order Grubhub and you'll have him do an unboxing.
I'll make him do unboxings like twice a week just for the random stuff.
Totally. Yeah, it's good.
You know what intrigues me too? Jordan and I were talking about this before we came on air. Is we've just talked so much about social media, and now you're about to go, cross country in the Sunchaser bus, and it's like such a nice time to unplug and see the world and talk to different people. Like, is that going to be a tough thing for either of you to kind of intertwine, like unplugging and relaxing versus making content along the way?
I feel like for me, when I think of traveling in the bus, I think of complete, like, this is work kind of way. Like, it's amazing to be in a bus and travel like that. But our biggest goal through that is to meet up with other Skoolies and other accounts, do podcasts with them, do merch with them, do anything. I feel like the difference between unplugging and work, we've kind of already got a good mesh of that going. So I don't see it as a huge challenge for me.
I've always, even from, me being 15, 16, my brand was Andy Persons. So the balance between work and personal life, I never had a line. It always merges together. And that's the same thing now where like I am all for getting off your phone, just being present. But there is that same now where it's like, all right, well, that's also how we make a living is creating content.
Yeah.
So it's, there's always that big discussion, would you rather be in the moment or would you rather film the moment?
Yeah.
I'd rather film the moment, actually.
Yeah.
I'd rather take that moment and then be able to share it with someone else.
Right.
For, even for our wedding the week after the honeymoon, our travel, we made an effort just to be off our phones. Like, don't be posting this. We're just enjoying each other, just spending that time together. But then I got a Polaroid and we Polaroided everything.
Right.
And, we're out on the beach just, like, capturing everything. So, like, we still have, that captured moments because I just love having something to share and something to just remember that with.
Yeah, I would feel like he's the one with the camera all the time.
Yeah.
Wants to capture
hard
where
for me to
I'm
step
just
away
like,
from the camera.
I usually don't have that problem because it hasn't been in me, but since 15, like, he captures everything. We were asked by one of our friends, like, if you were to go to Paris and you're, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, which one of you is taking pictures of it and, like, showing it off to the world and which one's not? And I'm just like, that's him, because then he can look back on it. And I'll be like, oh, that's a really nice photo. I should have done that.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that we do, it's certainly not something that we take for granted. It is actually something we do very intentionally, is how much time we do spend on social media. Like, where is there intentional just scrolling through? Are we waking up in the morning and just looking at TikTok? Like, cut that out, use it for what you need to. You can also use it for entertainment, but be very conscious of that too,
I think that's great advice
That is
because
great
it
advice.
is you don't even know what's happening, and all of a sudden you're just like like
4
mindless.
hours go by and you're like, wow, that
Right.
did nothing.
Especially because it is a workplace now.
Right.
You got to balance that really well. Because I know for him, like, if he's sitting there scrolling, his mind is telling him, like, no, I got to work. Why am I on my phone if I'm not working?
Right.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
good
and
point.
it's funny you talk about like capturing the moment. There was the Morgan Wallen concert last night,
Yeah.
and I told one of the kids as he left, I was like, hey, make sure you capture enough videos that you get the memories, but make sure you're in the moment too.
Yeah.
And because like I was at a concert recently, and if certain songs come on or whatever, whenever I go to a concert, I always make sure I get videos of certain things. But then I'm like, I don't want to be sitting here like this when I could be sitting here like going crazy. Like, there's got to be a balance between the two.
Take enough content that you're able to share it.
Yes.
you're not gonna watch a 2-hour video of you at the concert
Right.
of sitting up there. No. That's not. If it's gonna
Right.
sit on your phone for the rest of your
Right.
life and no one's ever gonna view it, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
If you can create a piece that people want to watch, people want to share, that's cool.
Right.
Use your time wisely, though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like that.
So you have all the social media skills and strategy. How much of it was a new game for both of you to repair a bus and build things in a bus and do carpentry and do electric and do plumbing and you name it?
Pretty much, we went into it blindly.
Yep.
We just wanted to learn it as we went. So, I mean, when we started, we thought we'd be done with it by now.
Right.
We certainly weren't set to that. Like, we're not disappointed, but we're like, all right, it would be cool to be done within like a year. That was way overpassed, and we're like, that's fine. You know, like let's take our time, let's learn it, and do things right, so we're not having to come back because we screwed things up in the past. But yeah, it's pretty much learning everything from scratch.
Yep.
It's been great because my dad, he has plumbed stuff before. He's not a plumber, but he has plumbed stuff before, so he's able to help with that. My uncle, he's an electrician, which applies somewhat to the bus, so he's able to help with that. But again, it's still different because you're not wiring this like you would a house. You know,
Right.
this is mobile, so it's still completely different.
Yeah.
But as far as everything else, it's learning it as it comes. So
Yeah, 'cause
And
I
it's
see-
been fun.
yeah, it has been a
it looks
fun.
like a blast. I see videos, you're like cutting like
Yeah.
drawers.
And that's like a whole new game that was thrown at me because like I'm one of 2 girls and I didn't do that stuff, and so he's like, oh, go do this, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill myself. Like what? Like I can't do that. He's
So-
cutting and
Yeah. A throwback to even when I first started my Andy Persons brand I was talking about.
Yeah.
I had put 3 different things out into the world. One of them was camera work. One of them was design, so hand lettering, design, all that sort of stuff. And one of them was actually woodworking. I love just making stuff out of wood. So I did like custom shelving.
I think
just,
that's how you
yeah.
gave some of it to me. You're like, you can have this.
Exactly,
And I was like,
yeah.
before we were dating.
yeah, made some custom shelves.
right.
I did custom like tie clips for a while.
Okay.
Formal tie clips. Those are pretty cool. I ended up selling those to a couple like police forces, made some for weddings, blah, blah, blah. And that was just one of those things that I also threw out there because those were all just stuff that I love doing. So I saw what would stick. So now, 5 years later, I'm able to kind of relive some of that. And I had, a decent understanding on how to cut a piece of wood. So that helps.
It can be overbearing though, with, like getting a bus. I think when we first got it, discovering how many other people have done giant schoolies, and we like looked at the accounts, we were like, oh my gosh, what do we even want to do? Because
Yeah.
there's so many different floor plans, so
Yeah.
many different ways, and
Like-
I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want my bathroom in the front or in the back, or like, how does this work? So you really have to have like a detailed plan.
And is it pretty much what's been the biggest curveball to that plan so far?
I'd say we thought it out pretty well.
That's good.
We've,
I'd say the
been-
kitchen was
Yeah. Well,
their island idea.
Oh,
that got scratched.
You're right. So, if you look on Instagram and YouTube, blah, 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 our island, like our counter, kind of actually looks like this desk right here. It's an L shape. And our bedroom is right up here, a little bit farther away from the island. So we wanted to have like a little island section between that bed wall and the L. So you kind of
Yeah.
follow what I'm saying here? So we wanted like some space between the L to give an island and the bedroom wall. We realized that we just lost so much space in the front of the bus, so we ended up having just to shift that L all the way up against that
Yeah.
back wall. So that definitely changed a lot of the way
Yeah.
that, like where our washer and dryer was and where, some of the plumbing was laid out and all of that.
Because you have everything in here.
I'm
okay,
literally
you-
like, you're listing all
washer,
that. I'm like,
dryer.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Think of everything that's in the
Well,
house.
so like a
and stick it in
washer,
there.
our washer and dryer is a combo, so it's both.
Yeah.
Definitely small, but
Which I don't know
Not
why
all other
every
buses
house
have
don't
it.
do that.
Yeah, exactly.
We found out that a washer and dryer thing was actually
like a
you could-
combo.
You put the load in one time and it washes.
Well,
and
you
then
wash
dries?
it and then it switches to dry mode, so you have a vent underneath, and it dries it.
Which
and
I
I'm
don't know
just
why
like,
that's just not a household.
that is so smart.
Save me a million trips down
Yeah.
to our basement every
Exactly.
night right there.
I don't
Save
understand.
me from forgetting that my clothes were in the washer and having
And
to
they
move them
smell
to the
funky.
dryer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Exactly.
say something that we learned, I think, a lot throughout the bus is we were like, no, we got our floor plan and everything's good. You really don't know how much space you have
you're
until
standing
you
there.
start building things, and you're like, I have like 3 inches between this and this. We don't really want that.
Right.
So you got to expect trial and error.
Every inch counts.
And if you don't, you're
every,
disappointing yourself.
every little bit
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then your game plan's going to be just to go. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're we kind of talked about it before. We're really trying to make it like base camp to base camp. You know, a lot of people do full off grid where they hop in, they can just travel anywhere, they don't have to connect to anything. That's cool. It's definitely a different way of life because you do have to take more. What's the word I'm looking for? Just
Like,
Life necessities.
yeah, exactly. You have to, you know, for example, when we're going to at a base camp, like a place you stop, whether it's a campground or wherever, all we need is like basically a garden hose for water and a power hookup. You know, those are the two things, and then we
Yeah.
have everything functionality-wise like
yeah,
a
and
normal
powered,
house would.
right?
Right.
Whereas, you know, if you're going full off grid, you have to be more conscious of how much water you're using, how
Yep.
much power you're using, blah, blah, the list goes on. So
Right.
we would, you know, we're building it where we're able to take those long trips and be able to live off the grid, but then also kind of recharge at these,
Right.
at wherever
Especially
we're staying.
because like we're also working out of it too. So taking like giving and taking with long going off grid, it's like if we're working at the same time, do we really not want to be using as much water? Do we not want to be comfortable because we are working at the same time? So it is nice to plug in to know like we're good here, let's get it done, and then we can go have fun.
Yeah, and I mean the overall goal with it, kind of like what I talked about with the shipping container houses, is just to travel around, see what else is out there,
Yep.
just enjoy life for a little bit. We might get out there, you know, traveling. We definitely want to head out west, you know, explore all of that. We might be like, you know what, New York's home. We might come back, or we might find somewhere else that we love, and you know,
Right.
that's where we'll set up shop. And with the Sunchaser brand, you know, right now it's the Sunchaser Skoolie, but with that, we're hoping to build it to so much more. You know, she takes a lot of inspiration from like Joanna Gaines, Fixer Upper.
Yeah.
And we kind of want to let that evolve into maybe, you know, the Sunchaser house, the Sunchaser
Yeah.
brand.
I think that was like a really cool thing that happened is we got the bus and we're like, it's a Sunchaser, perfect. And then we start fixing it up and we're, you know, accounts are reaching out to us like, dude, this is super cool. I want to follow along on your journey. And then we're like, this could be so much more. This could, we got people saying like, we'll buy your merch. We'll do this, we'll do that. Like, let us know what you guys want to do. And I was like, this could be a whole nother
Yeah.
game plan for everything.
So like at first start off as, you know, Sunchaser Media, that excuse to create client work. And now we're starting to see brands come to us and say, hey, can you review
Right.
a product? Or, you know, we'll pay you this amount to
Right.
give us a shout out, blah, blah, the list goes on. So that's pretty cool as we're stepping into that world because, you know, she's kind of become the face of it, the
I am the
entertainment
face
of
of
it.
it. I am the entertainment, yeah.
And then now, you know, we're able to step into that brand deal world where we'd love to see that really explode. And YouTube's kind of our main grind right now. So shameless plug, if you're listening to this, go subscribe to us on YouTube.
There's no such thing as a shameless plug on here.
No, not whatsoever. Shameless plug. Do you have that caffeine we were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
So speaking of brand deals, perfect timing. We have some Drink Alchemy here. This mainly fits my brand more than Sunchaser, as you can tell by the cans. They're kind of dark and mysterious.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right. I would want like for Tyme brand, it's like some tropical.
Exactly.
Like,
What are you looking
yeah.
for?
I picture the original Novice sweatshirt that you got,
Yeah.
the salmon color. Like that would be more of the Sunchaser.
Right.
And yeah, exactly.
Right.
Reverse
Right.
those. There we are. So yeah, this is a drink. It's supposed to be for mental clarity. So it's not an energy drink. It has a couple different roots,
got crazy stuff in
mushrooms,
it.
like lion's mane.
So like nootropic stuff. In
It is. It's a
Yeah.
nootropic drink. Yeah. So it gives you kind of that mental buzz, that mental clarity. So it has a small amount of caffeine from green tea leaves.
Yeah, it's like 75 milligrams, not like a lot at all.
No.
Like you'll be all right.
Exactly. So it's not to give you a caffeine because it's not energy. But yeah, if you use code Andy Persons, all caps, you get 20% off.
Solid. Andy Persons.
Andy Persons, my
Yeah,
name.
pour me up, Paul. Let me do a little.
You got to do a little ASMR with it. You know, you got to,
Okay.
yeah.
No, it's
Sizzle
funny-
it up.
It's funny looking
It
at
should
it
give a
though,
nice pop.
because I'm looking like you were talking about all the stuff that's in it for like mental clarity. Like I worked at GNC for sound of
Dude,
happiness.
that is like super like
Satisfying
yeah,
right there.
Coca-Cola commercial right
That's the
there.
sound of happiness right there.
It's my first ASMR.
That's good right there. But yeah, just like when I was at GNC, just seeing all this stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, yep, this makes sense. These are all like really like things that when I was there,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
recommend to people.
Yeah.
It's approved.
So
Approved.
I mean, it's funny because I look at it and I'm like, oh wow, this brings me back to my
Yeah.
GNC days.
There you go.
The taste is approved, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff's
Yeah.
great. I love the taste
I'm
of
a
it.
fan. Because I stopped drinking coffee last year. Just my stomach. I'm a sensitive boy, and the acidity just like.
I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
I used to when I was a little bit younger, and then just I met one person who was the bubbliest, happiest, like just the most energetic person ever. And his secret is like I just drink a bunch of water, no caffeine. caffeine's so bad for your body.
And how hard is it to get off though?
Like that's the thing is like I never like my parents if they don't have their 5 cups of coffee in the morning they get migraines, they get headaches. I'm like I don't want to get
That's
there.
how my dad is. Like by 10 a.m.
Are you no caffeine too?
No. So
okay.
coffee, I
She
live
needs
and
her
breathe.
Starbucks.
It's in my veins.
There's a bit of conflict there. You know?
but-
We're working on it.
I do say, like, since my parents struggle with it, not my mom, but my dad, by 10 a.m., no coffee, down for the day. Can't recover, done. Met him, saw the way his parents drank coffee, and he was like, no, it's another thing that you can be addicted to.
Oh, 100%. It's a
So I do
crazy
drink
drug.
coffee, but I limit myself to, like, whether it's 2 times a week,
Yep.
once, because like making the drinks and stuff, that's my thing. So
Yeah.
it's been a little bit hard to.
She loves. You don't drink it every day either. Like
No,
you're not
not at all.
a regular.
And it's
but
not like
she
black
loves her
coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
oat milk
there's-
frappe.
Well,
blah, blah,
there's
blah.
Yeah.
Sam and I have the book. It's by Michael Pollan, who's written books on like sugar and a couple other things. But he has a book
Yeah.
called Your Mind on Plants, and he spends I don't know how many years, but a period of time just experimenting with different things in nature, marijuana and psilocybin and other stuff, and then caffeine is one as well. He said one of the craziest highs he ever felt was when he stopped caffeine for I think it was like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Let's look at the book. And then his first cup of coffee
Yeah.
after, he said, was wild. It's like, yeah, man, we're all walking around addicted to this stuff.
Caffeine
like
Yeah.
is
crazy.
literally just the gateway
It's
drug.
so bad for you.
It hits pretty much the exact same nerves and brain part as marijuana does. Like caffeine's literally not
Mm-hmm.
much different than marijuana.
Yeah, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
I need that to get up and function. And if not,
Right,
it's like 10 o'clock,
right.
my headache is like
Yep.
wild.
And
man.
it doesn't do great things for your stomach either. I have like a million allergies too.
Mhm.
So plants are in my diet every single day
Yep.
because otherwise I don't eat.
And our bodies are not meant to
Right.
rely on coffee. So if you give it that, it's just going to.
Exactly.
You know, that caffeine kills your adrenal glands. You know, I'm 21. I don't drink any coffee. Half of everyone I know at my age is because
Slugging.
I can't without it.
Right, they're like,
'Cause
how do you work
killed
all
your
day without
adrenal
3
glands.
cups of
You know,
coffee?
You're not
Right.
allowing your body to reproduce that.
Does he love the taste of coffee?
I do.
Yes, but who
Right.
doesn't, right?
For sure. And you could decaf it if you need to get that taste for
Exactly.
sure. But yeah, man, caffeine. So there's green tea in this, right? Is that where it comes? Is that where it comes
I
from?
think it was like 75 milligrams caffeine.
Yeah, 75.
Yeah,
So
much-
it's like
Much better for my
a
stomach.
cup of coffee, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, heck of
Like a small
or just
cup.
like,
yeah,
A small cup.
sure.
or just getting good sleep. Like really, that's
Oh
what
my
it
God.
comes down to. Like kids in
Yeah.
here would be like, should I supplement with this or that? And you're
I
like,
had
well,
a conversation yesterday with
and you're
Jim.
like, well, you just need to get better sleep
Yeah.
and like manage your stress better in your
Yeah.
life and see how much better you're gonna feel.
I literally was talking to a kid yesterday. He is going to be a freshman, and he was asking me about pre-workout and all that stuff, and caffeine. And I looked at him. I'm like, well, how about this? Are you sleeping enough?
Right.
I'm like, what's your eating habits like? I know his eating habits aren't great. I'm like, what's your eating habits like? What are like? There's at least 5 to 10 other things that you should be checking off your list before you go. Okay, I need a supplement for this.
That's something else they don't talk about in high school either. Nutrition, stress management.
Right. Oh, not at all. Yeah,
Not at
it's
all.
it's make sure you're here
Any
by
type
7
of
a.m.
Mental health.
You're barely eating
Yeah.
breakfast. Right. You're tossing some Pop-Tarts in there and
For sure.
even college life. Oh my gosh, like
Mm-hmm.
college life with the food that you eat because you have to because of the workload
Mm-hmm.
that they don't teach you is so important.
Yeah.
Crushes you when you come
That's
out.
going back to even the Paul brothers. That's something that they brag on and they talk a lot. You know, behind the scenes is their sleep regimens. You know, both the Paul brothers have sleep coaches. They take sleep very seriously, and that's one of like Jake's things. Like I already have an edge above every other fighter because of the way I sleep.
Yeah.
I'm that much stronger.
Well, and that's just a lot of like I feel like that's getting talked about more with a lot of athletes, just getting that regular sleep and like sleeping the amount that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
especially
think the
'cause it's
whole
for
recovery aspect, like, well, it's because it's become an industry now with the Whoop bands and other
Yeah.
HRV tracking, and now since it's measurable, now you have an industry where people are now promoting sleep and recovery, and which is important for whatever you want to do in life.
Right.
I was always I'm creative at night. That's when everything starts kicking in. And for me to work a normal job, it never worked because I was never able to get myself back up in the morning and be
Yep.
creative. That doesn't kick in till night. So usually my life looks like late nights
Right.
and then getting that sleep till I feel like I'm rested. And then
Yep.
that's what
Are you a night person too?
I feel like I used to be. I don't know.
You either are or you aren't, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely
I think it could change,
I was,
though.
I was about to say it can certainly change, but once you're in that groove, it's so hard to change.
Yeah.
Like, I was definitely more of a night person for a long time. And I think part of it had to do with I worked a job that I was at work till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
ASMR part 2. I'm pouring the drink into my cup.
That sounds.
It's so good. It's so
So
good.
crisp. I can't wait for Jordan to hear that when he's editing. But yeah, like I feel like when I worked in a different job, I was so much more, and I'm not a morning person. Like, I'm not an early morning person, but I'm definitely better at functioning in the morning when I get up, when I have that proper sleep.
Yeah.
Getting proper sleep is a whole nother story, but when I get the right amount of sleep and I sleep well, if I'm up at 7 a.m., that I feel like that's when my body just, no matter what, will wake up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to wake up at that time, and if I get my ass out of bed like I'm supposed to, I'm super productive.
Yeah.
But if I pull that whole snooze,
That's the
or-
hardest. It could be 4 in the morning or 7 or 9 or 10. Just that initial, the alarm hits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what was so important to me for being self-employed, because creativity in the corporate world often is so hard to repeat. Like the type of content I create usually, I don't tend to, but I will say no to certain things if it's just not up my alley. I like to be the creative side. If you're coming to me, like we talked about before, cameras are so easy to come by nowadays. If you're looking for a good camera, dude, have someone with an iPhone.
Right.
Which
I
is
want to
sad
offer something more
on
than
a
that.
level.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
trying to offer the
Like what?
creativity.
Right.
So in that corporate world of, if I'm not getting that rest or shifting that creativity to a night or blah, blah, whatever that might be, I see that really lacking in my work.
You know what I was so impressed with? When you filmed for us last August, you came in the gym and just read the room in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I could see your wheels turning,
Yep.
right? You probably see it time.
Oh,
I'm
it's fantastic.
It was amazing. I was so
Yeah.
impressed. And I was like, oh, he is right now just like feeling the environment, getting a feel for the people in here. You can see him start to be like, this is what I want it to
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that too.
See how the light comes in through the doors, where the light
It's
sources
incredible.
are.
It-
You'd be standing in like random spots and
Yeah.
be like,
Like, I love attention
Okay.
to detail and
Okay.
stuff. And
Yeah, for sure.
Which
It-
is something like I wasn't used to at all.
Yeah.
But then when he started doing it, like I can pick up anything from him now, and I'm just like, I know what you're doing. Like we'll be at a party. This is how this man works. Is like when I unplug. I can be the life of the party, jokester, anything. Him, he works no matter what it is. So like we'll be at a party and he's like, I'll be right back, and he's going to talk to somebody. He is meeting that person and putting his info in for a reason. And I call him Mr. Schmuser because that's what he does. And it's the funniest thing to watch because you can read what he's doing no matter what. And it's
yeah.
great.
Paul, tell Sam there's other people like me out there in the world, please.
It never stops.
yes,
It never
there
stops.
are other people like Mike and
Yeah.
like and like Dave that work and work and work.
Yeah, that's
and,
my father.
you know,
He's the same mindset.
Same kind of mindset, but it's not a bad mindset to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, that's-
as long as you can find that balance.
But did you
Exactly.
feel like when you were younger, you ever struggled with friends because your brain was like that and theirs wasn't? Like in college is when I first started to struggle because like I have fantastic friends that were at my wedding. I still talk to this day, but just like they didn't operate like that. Like they like to party more and stay up late, and they just I found what I was passionate about earlier. They didn't, so I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed right now at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take you teasing me. It's okay. To wake up at 7 so I can go work out, get this done, write this article.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen that throughout my entire life. What I'm learning at this point now is I think really the strive for that is, not only being self-employed to give you that financial freedom, but financial freedom and just freedom in all aspects of life. Don't take your work too seriously, because if you're always working, you're going to miss a lot of those moments in life. And I think that's why being self-employed means so much to me, is being able to create that own schedule. So, when all of your buddies, they want to go hang out, you have that choice to decide, all right, is this worth to go live my life a little bit right now to enjoy this moment? Or should I go back and put my head down and keep working? And that freedom is huge for me, because I am all about making sure you enjoy life. If you're not waking up every morning and just appreciating the fact that you can breathe, that the sun's shining, that's what's important. That's what really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
agree.
like a lot of the times, I mean, even on our social medias, we get a lot of comments like, you guys are so young, like, live life. How are you going to enjoy life? Like, there's a bunch of older people that are like, what's your plan? Like, you're 19 and you're working and you're doing this, and it's like, if you knew the people I was going to meet, the people I was going to talk to tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.,
Right.
you'd be getting up too.
100%.
Like, and I feel like that's something that you always got to tell yourself too. Like,
But like
I'm working for a reason.
Yeah, and like Andy said, though, that discipline and structure then gives you the freedom.
Yeah.
And I had a group of photography friends for a while, and I was always one like, all right, I'm out here right now just practicing my craft. You know, we would sometimes every night of the week we'd go out, we'd be shooting till 2 a.m, just shooting stuff. You know, whether it's bar hopping or just wandering through Troy or blah blah, whatever it is, just shooting the world. It was always a blast. And I was always doing it because it was just an exercise, to practice, hang out with friends. It was a great time. Whereas them, they were all just hobbyist photographers. And I was like, you guys are all really good photographers. Why don't you take this to the next level? And it's that one thing that we all hear, well, if I did it, I might not love it as much. You know, whatever skill you hear, you know, oh, I'm really good at fitness, you know, teaching this. Well, why don't you, you know, become a fitness? Well, if I, you know,
Is that just a fear? Is that just a fear of failure?
It is. It is. You know, I think it's kind of a laziness thing where, you know, there's something good at, but you don't want to take that next step because what if I'm not good enough?
Right. Because then if it becomes income and something that you have to do, people lose that motivation.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that's how I got into this.
Yeah.
I was working as a residential caseworker with, you know, troubled kids in Pittsfield, going to the gym all the time, and you know,
It's good stuff, right?
It's delicious stuff. I'm so tuned in right now. Keep going.
Was it cold? Was it cold when you gave it to him? Was it cold?
It's chilled.
It's chilled. I'll tell you,
If
that's
it's like
good.
ice cold.
Sorry, keep going.
But yeah, so I was working at this place, and I would get people at the gym asking me for advice, and I always loved being in the gym. It reminded me of sports, and I always wanted to be involved in sports in some way. That's why originally I went for phys ed, because I wanted to coach kids, which I get to coach kids now in a different capacity. But I was like, why don't I try to make this my career?
Yeah.
That, like literally in my head, I was like, why don't I try to make this my career? So I left the job I was at because I didn't have time to sit there and study because of how many hours I was working. There's some weekends I'd work 36 hours in 3 days.
Yeah.
It's awful. So I left there and went back to my old job so I could study for this. So I took a step back to take steps forward. And I think that's also something people don't realize is sometimes you do have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward or 3 steps forward or whatever it is, whether it's financially or in any other way in your life. Because that's more what it was for me, was I was taking a step back financially, knowing in the long run I'm going to be much happier
Exactly.
than working 12-hour shifts 3 days in a row with shithead kids.
Right.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's the thing is, if you chase that financial reward, if you chase that work like we were talking about, there is that freedom and rewards on so many other aspects of life. You know, if you're constantly only getting that fulfillment, that joy, that reward from working and finances, you're gonna have a pretty sucky life. You know, be able to take that pay cut to be able to enjoy life.
Yeah, I think from like, you know, Paul, our generation in our early 30s and down to you guys and younger probably, it's like we all need way more like intellectual stimulation from work and like to be proud of what we're doing and have that fulfillment, like placing that over the monetary gains.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that.
Yeah. Well, especially I think there's a lot of truth to being around people that motivate you to keep doing it. We've even been talking about that recently, like your friend group
Huge.
matters
Important thing.
so
much. Note that down,
Because-
any kid that's listening.
Yeah. The
Like
people
if-
you are hanging out with will change your life.
Isn't it like something like it's like the average of like the 5 people you're closest with, and that's who you are, or something like that? Like that's what makes up like
And it's so true.
all of your like deepest morals and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
you
stuff.
you want to have this select group that you know can like gas you up, but can also pull the brakes on you too,
Right.
and be honest with things. Yeah.
There's one brand that we're working with right now that we manage all of their social media. It's called Men We Admire. And it's basically this dude who has the classic LA story, you know, moved to LA with a suitcase, hoping, you know, to chase his dreams. And he did. He made it really far in the LA life. But then got to the point where, you know, professionally he was doing really well, but, you know, personally, it's another noise.
I don't know what it is.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one that hears it when it happens.
I don't know
I
what
wonder
it
if
was.
it's this. Wait.
No.
Paul's gonna start hearing the like clocks chiming from like
Exactly.
Stranger
Chung.
Things. and
Right.
Paul's gonna start floating up to
Have
the
you been
ceiling.
having like headaches for the past,
Listen, I
4
haven't even
days?
seen Stranger Things, but if I start floating in the air, we better get the fuck out.
I'm out of here, man. I am gone.
I won't stay for that one. I won't stay for that
No,
one.
he'll probably
I've seen some
stay,
creepy
grab
things.
his
He'll just start
camera,
filming
grab his
it.
camera,
Well, he's
yeah.
already got it on camera, so
Right,
he can
exactly.
just grab his camera and
Exactly.
Paul's
Exactly.
limbs start snapping, and it's just
Exactly.
like,
go. Anyway,
I don't even know what I was saying. Oh yeah, men we admire. So it's this guy, I really resonated with the story because I did the same thing when I was younger, where he got to the point where, professionally he's doing well, but personally he just wasn't happy, super depressed, at the point of suicide, he said. And he just looked at his life, at the people that he admired, whether people he knew, real, fake, whatever, and just wrote down who they were and what about them that they admired. And I did the same thing just as a young man in my life, as I'm hitting, I think it was like really coming out of my teenage years. I just looked at people in my life that things I liked about it, even if overall, I wasn't a huge fan about them, but just that one thing. Oh, I like how this person is able to walk into a room and be able to talk to anyone. Oh, I like how this person, I love their faith about it. They had that love and faith for God. I want to pull that into my life. And you just write down all those little things and you just feel that,
Right.
and you just become that. And it just intentionally shape who you want to become.
We all could use more of that, man.
I don't know where that tied in, but somehow that
I don't
was-
know. I like it.
Well, we were talking about friends.
Friends
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah,
like-
yeah,
and, like-
exactly.
yeah, and that group. And I think as you get older, you also understand that it's not about how big your group friend is. It matters about how the
Exactly.
quality of your friend
Exactly.
group. And
Exactly.
for me, I consider Mike obviously a very close friend of mine, and I appreciate having him in my life because there's so much motivation and drive that I get just from being around him on a daily basis. And then I have my roommate that I talked about, who's like my childhood best friend, and he's that person that Mike kind of talked about that keeps you grounded. He's also the farthest thing from a yes man. Like he will tell you he's going to keep it real with you,
Yep.
whether it's what you're doing in your life, whether it's a relationship or whatever. He's going to be like, "Nah, dude, you're fucking up." Like,
Yeah.
He's going to be
Yeah.
that person, and like that's what I've always appreciated about him. And they're both people that, at times in my life, but like at least these two, Mike and my roommate, that there were gaps where I didn't see them for years in person. But the communication didn't stop. The motivation I got from them, or the grounding from him, that I would like, never stopped. It would just be in a distance. So it's all about like keeping those people that you value and that you look up to close to you, and no matter how far away you are. And I think that's also a key with kids. Like, you're going to go away to college, or you're going to go on to bigger and better, travel across the country,
Right.
whatever it is. And you got to make sure you still keep those people that you value like close to
Yeah.
you. That's something that I think that a lot of kids can learn from that as well.
Sure.
It's not about how many; it's about the quality.
Exactly.
And that's those are some of the best moments of life. That's where you can live life. You can enjoy life. The friends, your family, the relationships around you. Whoever you choose to call. That's who I want to be with. That's what you get to enjoy in life.
For sure. No, I love Paul. Your ASMR isn't as good as mine.
Because listen, I'm sorry.
No, I love both of your perspectives. Like I just got that vibe when I first met you last year here, and then time when we met, maybe at the Super Bowl party, maybe the first
No,
time.
I think we met at the Cat.
At the Cat.
I don't know if I met you. I
We were
definitely,
around.
I saw you
Saw 'em
guys.
around.
Shout out. Will this be out before next
There was a
Thursday,
couple
Jay?
too many red solo cups. I remember that.
Yeah.
Shout out the Cat. This is the 12.
Cat 12.
13.
13.
I think it's 13.
No, it's Cat 12.
Is it?
12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12.
'cause we
Shout
won
out
the
the
Cat 11.
Cat
Yep.
Novice
Yeah,
Volleyball
exactly.
Tournament. If teams can still upgrade their rosters, I do so. CDSF is coming back, Paul.
I advise it strongly. Upgrade your rosters.
No, that's a great event, man.
It's a lot of fun.
I can't wait
I
for
can't
that.
wait for
I
that,
can't wait
yeah.
for that. But no, like both of you, I love your perspectives. I love your work ethic and your passion and your like groundedness.
I love that I'm able to learn something from, even though obviously, I think that's another thing. You can learn from anybody. You guys
That's
are
the biggest
And definitely
thing
be
out there.
open
You guys
to
are
learning
10,
to
12
everybody.
years
For
younger
sure.
than us.
Yeah.
And just from sitting here with you guys, I feel like I got a lot out of it myself.
Yeah.
So, anybody listening, you'll get a lot out of this, but also don't be afraid to listen to people younger than you, older than you. Doesn't matter.
And
Listen.
just know like there's no right path.
No,
Yeah.
everybody's on their own.
Yeah,
to
I'll
life.
jump in there for
Exactly.
a second. There's this one word that I've always loved since I was younger. It's called sonder. And basically, it's the act of realizing that the people around you have a life as complex and vivid as your own.
Yeah.
We might be sitting at, yeah, there might be,
Balls just start floating up right there.
there you go. We're sitting at the red light. There's cars either side of us. Behind us is people. Each one of those people sitting in their cars has
Yeah.
a life that's as vivid, as real. They have struggles. They're real people. And just realize that every person that you meet knows something that you don't. You can learn
Yeah.
from everyone.
I think it was kind of like what he was saying earlier, is moving to the city with the fast pace. Like you really see people that have such a different life, and it opens your eyes to like I'm not the only person on this planet.
Yeah.
And it changes your work ethic too once you realize that. Like,
Change your work ethic.
Yeah.
Change your empathy for people.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
whatever puts you there, whether it's religion or therapy or just to know that the world is not just you.
yeah.
Yeah.
That you're just this little piece of everything.
Exactly.
It's so important. Everybody needs to get there. But
Yeah.
you two are the best.
Sonder, you said?
Sonder.
I feel like that
Sonder.
needs to be a tattoo.
Oh, geez, Paul, next one.
Not for me.
I'll design it.
I mean, listen, maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
geez, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Listen, that might have to be an option.
But no, you two. Anything else you want to touch on, or just where to find both of you at? Please,
Yeah.
people are looking.
Sunchaser, Andy and Tyme.
Yep.
Look it up. Follow us.
Media Co, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
Yep. All those. If you want to see some cool, unusual, creative things, follow mine, Andy Persons.
Make sure to hit Alchemy up.
Yes. If you want
20%
some
off,
drink
Andy
alchemy.
Persons.
Yes.
If you want some drink alchemy.
Drink some
Andy
Lion's Mane.
Persons, 20% off.
100%.
These
No,
are plugs.
Hey, and they're not shameless.
not at
I'm
all.
proud
It's
of 'em.
delicious. Thank you both for coming on. Congratulations again on the
Congratulations.
marriage.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, and good luck on the journey on the Sunchaser bus.
On
Yeah,
the Skoolie.
thanks.
The
Yeah.
Sunchaser Skoolie.
Sunchaser Skoolie. We
on
hope
the
that you guys
Skoolie.
follow along on our adventures. And we'll be dropping the YouTube
Yeah.
very soon. So
Keep
Yeah.
me updated on everything.
Follow along, everybody, please. You two are the best. Thank you, and we'll catch everybody next time.
Peace.
Peace.